2. Before designing starts, it is critical military construction design construction contract award process to ensure the project scope and the cost requirements are successfully identified during the project program phase, and the requirements to identify the base level identified with the Department of Defense 1391 with the major count must be supported with the preparation, thoroughly development requirements of management plan and program and amount based on the parametric cost and estimate and another acceptable, reliable base for the decision made during the processing, planning, of the design process for the selection of the right decision team of the establishment of the project schedule will they all come together within this document to make the project break a project, the base civil engineer management command, ultimately the headquarters of the U.S. Army Force and Engineering Corps, generally established primary facility cost, the use of parametric cost estimate with the base specific design and construction requirements for the particular project. Any primary facility unit based on the parametric estimate with the most compared with the primary facility unit cost facility type to prove the Office of Secretary of Defense whenever the proposed unit cost exceeds your Office of Secretary of Defense unit cost. The reason for the higher unit cost must be clearly identified with the Department of Defense Form 1391. The primary facility cost is reduced from during the military instruction review process. Establishing support and facility costs with the proper identification of specified site recommendations rather than solely on facility the type of the average supporting facility cost percentage to the requirements management plan and the parametric cost estimate. The Air Force project managers must ensure the required and management plan has been completed with the base core engineering, major com civil engineering staff of the architectural engineering and the firm with the under contracted base contracting engineering and major com designing agent and the comprehensive requirements of management plan under the is achieved through the discussion of the project with the major cam base and the use of the future difficulties can be minimized in time to taking up with understanding how the project will develop and how the reutilizing facility will function. Level through the requirements of management plan help avoid with considering delay in the design process. The requirement and management plan checklist is at the appendix 1 of the ramp checklist for the major cam, and the base must be complete with the requirements and management plan by the time of the Department of Defense 1391 is submitted with the major com headquarters of the U.S. Army Force Engineering Corps for inclusion in the military construction. The ramp or the requested management plan consists of the two components within the requirement documentation and the project management plan. Sample documentation are available in the military construction code for the AFCE Brooks AFM DC product, the Z products under production and services. A requirement documentation, base core engineering and major com are jointly responsible for the timely completion of the requirement documentation. The requirement documentation serves three important purposes during the planning of the design process. The primary purpose of the requirement documentation to ensure the user functional and technical requirements are accurately defined with the project scope of the base and those requirements facility and site with the requirements are described in sufficient detail with the Department of Defense 1391 with the programmed amount shown as supported with reasonable cost estimated based on the project requirements. See Appendix 3, the cost control. Second purpose of the requirement documentation is provided with the design agent with the Air Force A&E firm project planning and the information used to negotiate the design contract. Third purpose of the requirement documentation is to serve the initial reference point for the starting of the project definition of the phase and project design process. The major com of the various corps engineering must work with the user thoroughly and accurately identify the project requirements, evaluate site conditions, identify the support facilities requirements. Major com encourage the use of designated chart aids and squadron sessions and evaluate engineering analysis. Also effective tools most accurately identify the user requirements and establish basic product design and cost parameters. The type of the information required to prepare the good requirements documentation is very similar to the information needed to prepare with a good project definition. See Appendix 3, the cost control during the design. See some bases of the major com that use the design agent to prepare the requirement documentation, the number of the advantages of using the design agent for the activities. Supplemented list of major com the base core engineering technical manpower often affiliates the design agent either in the house of the staff of the A&E contractor. They use the same technical expertise to accomplish both requirements documentation and project definition and proposal phases. The approach can be avoided unless unnecessary duplication of some activities to expedite project the design, maximize use the operation, maintenance, and planning of the design and funds. The Air Force project manager should discuss the funding of the designing agent prior to the starting requirement documentation process to negotiate the fees and accordingly. The requirement documentation should forward it to the Air Force program manager for the DA and the prospective designer at least 30 days before the scheduled pre-definition conference to give everyone sufficient time to review the understanding of the documentation prior to the conference of the design requirements change during the course of the project. The requirement documentation the pre-definition conference minutes for their use to establish the degree of the lost design effort of the Air Force project management will show and resolve discrepancy of the requirement documentation project management and plan. Air Force program management is responsible for the development and implementation of the project management program promotion of the required and management plan requirements and management plan. The program management plan should be outlined as roles and responsibility for the management team of the management group. The program management also will require the number of the Air Force, the Defense Agency strategic decision, including the USDA in-house staff versus the A&E design determination project risk of the contract type, schedule project packaging, and a small disadvantaged business participation decision list of all the project team member names and the organization, strategical design and delivery strategy, delivery method, contractor type. This is discussed in great deal later in the chapter. The program management is prepared to address with the use of the Charlotte process, the value of the engineering and analysis plus the and qualifications to apply to the tools for computer-aided drafting, design standards, and computer-aided drafting, GSI, and guidance for the civil engineering automation template with the HE, AFCC, Brooks, AFML, under products and services, an example of the program plan management, and an appendix of the 5 of the program management plan. See parametric cost and estimate. The headquarters of U.S. Air Force Engineering Command encourages the use of the parametric cost estimating system, such as the Air Force Parametric Cost Engineering System or other approved system that establishes the program amount whenever the appropriate building of the infrastructure software models are available to using parametric cost estimates during the requirements documentation phase is also helpful in establishing benchmarks that are useful in controlling the construction cost and during the design process. See Appendix 3 of the cost control during the design for the further information. Headquarters of the AFCES responsible maintaining the PACE or Air Force Parametric Cost Engineering System of the developing additional building software modules. Air Force Program Management can contact the organization for the information regarding training consistent with the use of the parametric cost engineering system with questions regarding the specific project cost estimate. The environmental concerns and permits during design. Make efforts throughout the facility to deliver process the project with environmental sustainment. The means of looking for the planning, design, construction solutions to enhance the project environmental performance. In addition, with the life cycle cost sustainable consideration should be selected with the project team, or each of the project may include conservation, energy, water, national, or cultural resource. Selecting building products based on engineering, conservation, recycling, conservation program, promoting indoor and environmental quality by reducing toxic materials in construction, operation, and maintenance, minimizing air and water discharge generation, solid and hazardous waste, and sustainability and consideration during projects planning of the majority environmental impacts can be avoided with the U.S. Air Force environmental response facility design, the guide of the other information on suitable deployment, and the AFC, EE, Brooks, AF, MLDC, products, DPC products, ASPP, products and services design and construction directorate. The DAA should environmental construction permits be permitted with the final form submitted with the Air Force project management. The project definition submitted with before the 90% date. Design submitted with no preliminary design submission. Air Force program management should ensure that all the permit applications are reviewed and forwarded with the base core engineering with a signature submission with the appropriate governmental authorities as soon as they are received from the DAA. Headquarters U.S. Army Air Force Engineering Corps will not design as instruction guaranteeing authority to advertise with the environmental impact analysis process completed and entered in the appropriate screens for the PDC and the ACEs. Conjunction with the construction permits, the base must also process the application for the new modifications existing environmental operation permits, the State National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, or SPDS or NPDES, with the use of the completed project will change the permitted operation conditions with require the A&E, the DA to analyze project commission provided with the data on the effect of the completed project will have the respect of the existing permits. The mission analysis of the discharge data should be provided with preliminary design submitted with the Air Force CEE verifying time and the updated with the environmental submittable point that follows the normal baseball design process, newly modified operational permits application pre-final design submission. See Chapter 8 for the additional information regarding design and building. The contracts of the type of the permits with the license may be applicable to particular project. Example, the construction permits with the license that may be required. Air quality source permits, the base central heating plants, corrosion control, operation paint spray, both. Any permit can be shown per stopper. Large boilers should be used for the boiling and heating, cooling, abscess notification for the demolition work, fuel cells, docks, tank farms, fuel dispensing facilities, engineering test cells, solid waste incinerators, fire training facilities, power plants, water discharge plants, and the state or national pollution discharge elimination system, requirement operational input for the A&E, and so based and submit the annual revision as needed. Local regional connection and application permits, sewage lagoon, leaching field, septic tanks, and accessory permits, treatment and requirement certification in conjunction with the permanent discharge publicly owned treatment works and state stormwater construction permits, storage tanks, the usually fuel and above ground wetlands, floodplains permitted with the SAF and the MIQ approval may be required. Stormwater permits with the completed with the project set, make control plan and local and standard review of the approval of the oil water separation section 7 consultation with the U.S. Fish Wildlife Agency RCRA permits with the hazardous waste can be shore stoppers and water supplies permits. To stay on top of the permit application process, to review the key checkpoints and covered below the Air Force Program Management predefined conference. The Air Force Program Manager reviewed the project design exemption expectations, including known and potential permits required for the project, the requirements and management plan, but they identifies all known permits, the asbestos abatement, and it should be discussed for additional alteration project. The demolition is a required project. The definition of the preliminary design submittal. The A&E design agent provided with the completed permanent application with the appropriate filing of the fee application checks. The Air Force Program Manager with the review before submittal to the base. The base will submit the permit application to the proper authorities. We're ready to advertise the headquarters. U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps will not grant an authority to advertise the project unless the environmental impact analysis process has been completed entirely into the appropriate screens of the PDC and the ACES. The base Corps engineering shall be obtained with all environmental permits if they have the reasonable assurance with respective regulators on the obtaining of the permits prior to the project award. 3. Authorization of the Department of Defense Form 1391 for the official year of the military construction project to have the Department of Form 1391 documentation program told the use and the request justifying construction needs and generative the using organization will request that the base Corps engineering the request reviewed, validated with the base and checked against the general plan, land use, long range facility development plan, 5-year capability improvement program. The project request is further reviewed by the Major Com and the Air Staff during the military construction approval process. The Department of Defense Form 1391 is significant for several reasons. First, defines the scope of the budget for the cost of the project. Second, of the document to serve the project budget basing for the Major Com of the Air Staff and their long range acquisition plans. With these plans, the project is tentatively prioritized with the Major Com with official year of the documentation is generally further authorization updated to the authorization key project system items such as project scope of the government programmed amount or PA. Lastly, documented usually budget updated with the forward to the Congress as part of the Department of Defense budget. Request congressional approval of specific military construction, military family housing, reserve medical project is based on the project scope of the budget shown in the Department of Defense 1391 as the Air Force Program Management involvement in the project of the Department of Defense Form 1391. The committee go through several changes. The Major Cam Air Staff of the Department of Defense for the project is included with the presidential budget submitted for the congressional approval. The Air Force Program Management should review the current copy of the documentation commonly referred to as the simplicity of the 1391 to become familiar with the project scope and the cost as annually unusual project features. Air Force Program Management should ensure the Department of Defense 1391 planning, instruction, design, instruction, field design, instruction, required and management plan agreed specifically check the following. Scope conformant to the user requirement scope of the new construction alteration addition for any of the related demolition agreement between the documentation, identification, air condition loads, and authorized number of the rooms and list of the dormitory project word on other significant support items than are the Youth Department of Form 1391 addressed in accordance with the annual headquarters of the USAF. ILEC Milcom call letter. Asbestos statement may include the demolition, renovation, and added alter project for the facility before was built before 1976. Anti-terrorism force protection requirements, if any, identified with the address of the Department of Defense Form 1391 in accordance with the annual headquarters of the USAFC Engineering Corps and Military Construction call letter. Seismic mitigation requirements, if any, that are identified addressed on the Department of Defense Form 1391 in accordance with the annual headquarters U.S. Army Force Engineering Corps Military Construction call letter. The sustainable deployment requirements identified addressed on the Department of Defense Form 1391 in accordance with the annual headquarters of the U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps Military Construction call letter. Site condition and projects located within the installation restoration program site but cannot be recited. Will verify the cost of the cleanup is identified with the Department of Defense 1391 specified for the Defense Environmental Restoration Act. All the special items incident with the project of such as communication with local area network of Tempest, furnishing including system furniture, system operation manuals, and are properly identified with the funding with the non-military construction accounts for the Office of Management, Equipment and Research Development, etc., in accordance with the Office of Maintenance, Operational Maintenance, Equipment and Research Development, etc., in accordance with the annual headquarters of the USA Force Engineering Corps Military Construction call letter. An example of the Department of Defense Form 1391 can be found in Appendix C, the Department of Defense Form 1391. Congressional notification Title 10 U.S. Standard Code Section 280.07 that the cost of the AE designed for the service project group with the related projects estimated with exceeding the $500,000 congressional must be notified to allow the comment with the proposed action before the publishing of the CBD synopsis. The headquarters of the U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps will initiate the congressional notification will modify the Major Com Command's Department of Defense submitted with the notification to the package of Congress staffing acts on the 280.70 notification type with the typical 30 to 45 days. The CBD synopsis can be published by the headquarters U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps issued design instruction to the PDCA stating the notification action is completed. If the Air Force program manager reports the check then appropriate the screen of the PDC and the ACES and follow up with the end of the 30 to 45 day period of the headquarters of the U.S. Army Force Engineering Corps has not been issued the defensive intake instruction for planning instruction. The headquarters use Army Force Engineering Corps planning instruction and advise the Major Com that it may finalize the planning action projects change with the project program status and design status bearing and need for the 287 and the notification for the Congress authorized the Major Com to initiate the design. Major Com discretion submitted with the limitations stated in the PI headquarters U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps will provide with the planning instruction of the Air Force Program Manager. The Air Force Program Manager 60 days of issuance planning instruction to review the adequacy of the design criteria consistent between the Department of Defense 1391 and Air required and management proposals. Management design instruction. Air Force Headquarters, U.S. Air Force Institution. Engineering Corps issues the initial planning instruction for the Major Com. Subsequent headquarters of the U.S. Air Force engineering instruction for the Major Com are designed with the design instruction. The design instruction informs the Major Com with the 287.0 notification is complete. Notifies the change of project status, scope of the program, and the amount of the granted authority of the advertised authority of the award. Identify the other actions affected with the project compared with the official Department of Defense for 1399, 1391. PDC ACE of the headquarters U.S. Air Force engineering program and instructions and subsequent design instructions consistent with the scope of the PA and the important with the Department of Defense Form 1391. The program instructions, defensive design instructions may ensure the design agent clearly understands the project with the limitation. Occasionally, other requirements include the program instruction, the defensive design instruction, the Department of Defense 1391, such as the phase PA or solar PA. Secondary scope of these also are the project requirements that must be passed for the design agent in the field of design instruction. Field design instruction, FDA, field DI. Upon the field replacement receipt of the planning instruction of the headquarters U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps, the Major Com Air Force Program Manager include the field design instruction. They initiate with the design process provided with other instructions of the design agent. Major Com field the design agent authority to start the design action such as A&E selection, award, site investigation, design authorization, including minimum project title, project and program design to the authority program. The amount and scope of the authorization may limit the design of something less than 100% and becomes available to the funds of 280.07 notification requirement of the project uncertainties. The Air Force Program Manager must be issued the field design instruction to authorize the DA program to proceed with the design. Nothing happens without it. The initial field and design instruction typically includes, in addition to the headquarters of the U.S. Air Force instruction and engineering corps and elimination of authorities, limitations and authorizations, including the general design guidance for value engineering, the site adaptation, general delivery method, site access, comprehensive interior design, and special design schedule requirements, well copies as commercial business daily announcement of the Department of Defense 1391. It is important to issue the field design instruction promptly since it is critical and successfully timely design completion and unlikely to event the required ad and management plan is not available to issue the field and design instructions without but work with the Major Com the base to get with the required ad and management plan completed as quickly as possible. The DA cannot proceed past the A&E selection without the required aid and management program issue for the filed field destruction and design instruction of the DA and the headquarters of the U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps. The design instruction are received the following on the field design instruction should include only the changes to update with the initial field design instruction of the AFP and should be provided with a copy to all field design instruction and the attachment necessary to all the appropriate organizations. Prompt issue of the field design instruction on any project. The management action set of the tone for the other involved with the project. The quality of the information must not be compromised. The Major Com issue with the authority to proceed with the design following stages based on the project validation required milestones, congressional approval. Selection A&E includes the pre-definition conference, A&E negotiations, and other associated activities up to and but excluding the award of the design contract. Proceeds note to proceed the 3% directs the A&E under the contract design agent in the house of the staff of the initiated design project definition includes the completion, sufficient investigation, design, and validation project requirements, identify the requirements documentation as amended by during the predefined conference and by the subsequent information provided by the major design agent, which includes the parametric cost estimate based on the requirements resolved with all scopes and requirements. The cost difference of the cost control during the design process enables the A&E to brief the use of it on the Air Force program manager and the major com. Early preliminary design is 30% if required. Preliminary design is 60% if required. Their informal other over-the-shoulder review of the most project. However, the user of the Air Force program manager, the A may believe the necessary area and need to stop the design, provide a formal submitted with the review and process approval of the state of the contracting documentation development phase. The formal review may be necessary on a large complexity project. Pre-final design, completion of the design, preparation of the IFB, and the design or build for request for proposal documentation. See chapter for the non-appropriated funds requirements. Alright. Throughout the design process, the Air Force program manager must review the design criteria for the adequacy with the consistency between the required and management plan with the official Department of Defense 1391 headquarters U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps. The program instructions and subsequent design instruction, major field design instruction, project definition of the project setting should be consistent with the general plan, land use of the plan base, architecture complete, validity plan, and general plan for 5-year capital improvement plan with the tab M3 to ensure that there are no conflicts in numerous plan criteria with environmental concerns. At a minimum, the required certifications screen at the PDC ACES should be reviewed to determine if the siting has been approved and if any conflicts exist with the siting criteria. Work with all the members of the project team to resolve the regulations, technical orders, engineering, technical letters, governing codes, anything that would cause the design to exceed the headquarters of the U.S. Army Force and Engineering Corps with major authorization. D5 decision experience has shown that the right of the decision made at the wrong time has more adverse impact than had a wrong decision made at the right time. Although the discrepancy resolution often possible during the pre-definition conference, the Air Force program manager resolved the major conflicts between the conferences in order to the A&E to make the responsible fee proposal starting the design to be clear on the project criteria. When the discrepancy still exists with the pre-definition conference, provide instruction to the DA based on the good major user input with the project need of the dates and other pertinent information. Delivery stage using during the program planning development, Air Force program management should decide the appropriate project delivery business strategy in conjunction with the design agent major based in the headquarters of U.S. Air Force Engineering Corps. When necessary, the project team can be find many of the process delivery of the product with the need of think of the good teamwork, understanding of the project influence. The Air Force program manager needs a good understanding of the real project objectives, the real priority, the designation agent, the Air Force organization capabilities need the other involved organization to help the project team to make critical decisions to establish strategy. And for the Air Force must be designed with the design agent recommendation on the following crucial issues: the number of contract design construction is managed one or many, the relationship with the agent, vendor, etc. The Air Force design agent will have each of the Air A contract or trading contract, the method of payment depending upon the type of the contract, cost plus fixed price, etc. The manner in the construction contract will be selected, qualification, price, and best value, etc. The extent of the definition needed with control before letting the construction of the designing building contract. Each of these considerations represents a spectrum of the possibility driven by the nature of the circumstance of the particular project selection, the delivery method, of contract that has set up the framework to determine the appropriate project acquisition strategy. The following list of the 2 reference tables provided with the only start of the point for the creative thinking since the variation of it limitless. B. Delivery methods. Traditional plans, specifications, simplified specification, site adoption, design, building. See Chapter 8 with additional information. Turnkey, 1-step, a 2-phase, fast track, integrated design, construction management, advanced mobilization, procurement. See Appendix 7 for the construction project delivery methods for the further information on the project delivery methods. Contract type, fixed firm price of the FAR subpart 16.2 may be lump sum of the unit price of the combination depending on the quantity, the condition, variation, anticipated fixed price for the award fees, price for the economic price adjustment. FAR 16.203 fixed price incentive fixed FAR 16.403 cost percentage cost plus incentive fee FAR 16.304 cost plus award fee FAR 16.305 plus fixed fee FAR 16.306 leather contract FAR 16.0603 indicates air staff with a higher approval required. See Appendix B for the contract type with the further description, application, and information. 6. Selection of the design. A. In-house design. Some of the design agents elected to accomplish the portion of the design program with the in-house personnel enabled the technical personnel to stay on the current criteria codes. The materials design construction practices used in-house for the primarily major based decision should be based upon the in-house staff expertise workload. Using the in-house staff usually will allow the design to start sooner than the A&E firm because of the time required for the public notice for the A&E selection audit and negotiation may have the problem encountered with the design to classified project disappear. With this approach, however, the overall design timeline generally takes long. The Air Force Program Manager and the DA should jointly consider all the special project requirements, technical qualification, proposed design teams, and members of the delivery strategy, the design schedule, milestone, the facility criteria, the needed dates, the Air Force goals before the final decision made to use the in-house design team, the historical performance, and good indicators of what they expect in terms of quality and timeless responsiveness of the in-house design team, the Air Force Program Manager, and the Air Force participation in the decision with the in-house design and consideration by the DA. Architectural engineering design. Once the Air Force Program Manager and the DA has decided the AFE form to design, they must allow with the 30-day period with the response to the announcement of the commercial business day and the especially with the requirement included with the Federal Acquisition Regulation 5.2003 and included with the A&E serviceability fee under the 100,000K work orders open and with the contract small business set at 8A set aside contracts and certain emergency projections. The CBD announcement provided the synopsis of the project specifications, qualification, delivery method, expertise, special requirements such as fire protection, asbestos, security, tempest, CAD, etc., required by the A&E selection criteria, specific submittal requirements, including the standard form 254 and 255 for the established qualifications. Air Force Program Manager must furnish the DA a good projection, the description, critical needs, and dates of any special expertise required by the A&E responding to the CBD. It must be able to relate their receipt and specific experience, expertise with the project with reversing the AE service in the CBD, including the sentence and effect of the A&E, will require to have multiple disciplinary sustainable deployment in detail with the cost and estimating the capabilities. If a few A&Es have such capabilities, will have to retain the appropriate consolation. Form design consideration must be responded to the announcement on before and closing date. The DA established formally constituted the A&E pre-selection and selection board. The Air Force Program Manager, the designated representative, should participate in the selection board as is voting member. The Air Force Program Manager designated representative should request the appointment of the pre-selection board of the official, complex, and high-dollar projects. Other interested Air Force personnel may be intended as observer of the Air Force A&E selection of the government of the Air Force Instruction 32-1023 design construction standard of the execution facility construction project. The selection process is the very serious material. The board shall be made up of the experienced engineers, architectural, preferably registered selection board must be chaired by the registered engineer, architectural certified planner. Individual may not be served the both three selection boards. See the AFI 32-123 1023 for additional information. 7 schedules. Designing agent schedule. The Air Force Management Program should require the DA to provide the shortest possible realistic design schedule within 30 days to receive the initial infield design instruction. The Air Force Program Manager should receive the preliminary design schedule within 10 days of the issuance of the field design instruction input and the input of the PDC and ACES. The schedule will be used and evaluate the DA schedule. The Air Force Program Management should review the PDC and ACES as necessary acceptance for the DA schedule. Review the schedule compared with the historical averages in question for the DA. If significant differences occur, with adjustment may be required to meet the Air Force goals. MILCOM process, base 13901 and 13901, Major Com program with requirements management, planning, parametric tests, etc. And then it goes the PI issued within 31 submitted with 1391 through the Air Force program of POM, the 15th of August to FAA that goes into the Air Force budget preparation, the 15th BAS exhibit, and the President's budget review and the Congressional review. The AE section project definition program design is on that mark of the advertising and award construction. This shows the current year from the official year 2003, 2002, and 2001 with the current year and official year. Project time bar, the A&E fee is less than $300,000. The typical Air Force design instruction construction award. So the FBI Field Destruction Design Instruction District Recreation Authority with the CBD is advertised with the CBD ramp report management completion beginning of the A&E selection period. Ready to approve the pre-definition conference A&E contract award issuing the A&E NTP project definition completion design and start of the A&E NTP design control. Design completion and award. These are 7 days, 10 days, 10 days, 28 days, 2 days, 14 days, 10 days, 21 days, 10 days, 45 days, 35 days, 155 days. 135 days, 90 days. Proposal prop and negotiation time must be added with preliminary projection 35 to 60% design submittals. 7 days between milestones, 81 days cumulative days, and the keystone milestone. Time-based or aggressive approach with the actual time may vary. Project type B bar AE fees less than $300,000. Typical AFI design instruction construction award. AFI field design instruction decision requesting authority CBD advertising CBD requirement and management plan completion beginning AE selection AE section election. Selection Peru pre-definition conference A&E contract award issuing the AENTP and project definition completion design start A&E and NTP and design completion also with the award. The year 7 days between milestones, 81 days with cumulative days. Keystone milestones proposal no negotiation time must be added. Preliminary project definition 36 design submittals are required. AE fee greater than $500,000 in 42 days audit. I'm back again. The historical type of the aggregate design of the PA is greater than $5 million to NTP to 4 months for the PD for 6 months, RTA for 11 months, the $5 million to $10 million 6 months, 9 months to 15 months, and to less than 10% of the $1 million, 7 months to 10%, 10 months and 17 months. In-house designing schedule will require less time at the upfront, and there's no CBD as an announcement of the A&E selection process. The audit with no negotiation, however, the in-house design generally takes longer. The additional design period consideration, AE fees of less than $500,000. Congressional notification titles in U.S. Standard Section 2807, 45, 60 days. Defensive contracting audit and agency audit of 42 days minimum. Chapter 3, A&E service acquisitions. This one's a bit longer. It's about 20 pages long. I'm going to do that tomorrow.